My dad has cancer right now. He has squamous cell sarcoma and he's going through chemo and radiation right now.
My grandmother had leukemia.
My uncle had cancer. Now he's doing a lot better.
My stepfather's father has an illness which they still get to decide what it is, and he's been ill for the past 5 years.
A person I know, he has like bipolar issues.
My grandma was like really sick with cancer. It was really hard.
My mom's friend is really, really ill, and I always pray for her.
My mom, actually, she's got MS. Luckily, my mom's just strong enough to, fight through all that.
My grandma was 103, and she died a couple years ago, and she was really ill.
My grandfather, he was like really sick, and he passed away.
My aunt was really ill from cancer, and she passed away 2 years ago.
Well, I lost my grandfather to cancer.
Have you ever known someone who is seriously ill?
Sometimes it's a person that we really didn't know too well.
But for many of us, it's a grandparent, a next-door neighbor, or a friend at school, someone we know and love.
It can be terrifying to find out the news, and it can make us feel helpless and emotionally upset or confused.
When someone you love is ill, that's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jess.
And I'm Kenny.
And this is Realfaith TV. The teens on the street all knew people close to them who had struggled with illness.
We'll talk with them a little later in the show, as well as meet our studio guest.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Caitlin. She'll share with us how she dealt with a serious illness in her family.
Let's hear her story now.
My father was diagnosed with leukemia 2 years ago, and it was very serious. He was in the hospital for 9 months, and he had a stroke, which paralyzed the left side of his body, and he still can't use it today. It was a very hard battle, and there was a lot of serious times when we thought he was going to pass away. And sometimes he couldn't speak or write or eat. It was also very hard for my dad because he was always really healthy and he was very active with my brother, and he was really upset and frustrated a lot because he wanted to become better, and it was really hard for him to not be able to participate in the same things anymore. But I'm really proud of him because he's come a long way, and now he's able to drive and work. And he went through a lot of rehab too, and still goes to rehab once a week. He's all good and strong now. Can do almost everything he was able to do before. So we're able to talk about a lot of stuff now because a lot of stuff was more opened when he was sick. I became closer with my family and my dad and closer to God, and it gained a certain faith that I wouldn't have experienced otherwise.
Yeah, like what Caitlin was saying, my grandfather was also really sick and he was bedridden, so a lot of things that we used to do together like just kind of stopped. And it wasn't even like gradually, it just stopped all at once, and it was hard for me, because everything that I was used to doing with him, going outside, having a catch or whatever, we couldn't do anymore, and it was really hard.
I know what you mean. Sometimes when someone's sick, you lose them almost before they really pass away, or before you even have an opportunity to make peace with them. That's why I think you always have to go forth and make sure you put forth that extra effort to keep that relationship strong.
Well, let's see what our studio guests have to say about this.
Okay, they are Ijama, Chris, Jackie, Tiffany, Nick, Bridget, Christina.
So do any of you have a loved one who is ill?
My grandfather right now, he's recovering from prostate surgery. And I was praying that he would undergo a successful surgery, and he did. And now there's complications arising after the matter, so it really affects you.
My grandfather was just diagnosed with lung cancer, so.
My dad had Alzheimer's disease, and it was really hard to communicate and be around and with him. I wanted to, but it was hard, and I was scared to as well.
My father recently had surgery to remove his prostate cancer, which he was diagnosed with in October of last year.
My grandma, she has arthritis, and out of nowhere her hand will just hurt, and she'll be in pain, and I won't know what's happening. It's scary sometimes.
My mom suffers from a list of things, and in combination they challenge her every day and stop her from doing normal everyday things.
Yeah, fortunately I don't have anyone close to me who's ill, but I know people my mom's friend who have been ill, and I've seen her struggle through the pain that it causes her.
Watching someone you love suffer through an illness is hard, and there are many ways we can respond.
When we are faced with difficulty, we can have what biologists call a fight or flight response to stress.
We either wrap ourselves in denial and refuse to think about the problem we are facing, or we simply avoid it.
This might mean not wanting to talk about it, refusing to see or visit the person with the illness, or making ourselves too busy to get involved.
On the other hand, the fight response can help us to not only support the person we love by being present and caring for them, but by using a difficult situation to create a positive response.
Next, we asked the teens on the street how they responded to their situations.
And whether or not their relationship changed with the person who was ill.
I tried to help him, but like, didn't work out. We just stopped talking, stopped being friends, and we just went our separate ways.
I'm more supportive than anything. If I'm there for him if he ever needs me.
I was very supportive. She lived with us.
Very supportive. My whole family was.
I backed off. I really let my dad do his own thing. Like, I don't have a good relationship with him.
I was extremely supportive. I tried to like make her less stressful, maybe clean my room once in a while, make her happy, do the laundry, dishes, and she's always there for me, so our connection definitely grew stronger.
We got a lot closer because from the looks of it, he was dying, but then he actually had a recovery, so we're still close.
I've always been close with her, but I've learned to value her and respect that she might not be here for as long.
It made me a stronger person, but it's rough watching someone die.
I visited her in the hospital as much as I could, even though it was kind of hard for me to see her in that condition.
What was the most difficult part for you?
Just like seeing her like that and not being able to do anything about it personally.
In that situation, the fact that I was losing somebody I loved.
Finding out that, like, he only has that time to live.
The most difficult part would probably be knowing that he can leave us anytime soon.
Worrying that it'll come back and I'll lose her.
Yeah, like what some of the teens were saying, like when my grandfather was ill, you know, we tried to go down and visit him like whenever we could. So, and I would just spend hours like talking to him. We like watch old cowboy movies, like that was his favorite. So I do like whatever I could to really just like be with him and like through his tough times. So what has your response been when dealing with someone that is ill?
And how has it impacted your relationship with him or her?
It's not an added responsibility, but it's something you take on, whether it's doing the laundry or doing dishes like the teen on the street said, or making sure the person takes their pill because they have to take so many in a day. I think for me, I step up or I make sure that I'm there, whether they want me there or not, and that I care for them in the best way possible.
I agree with you how you were saying I step up. It's definitely like when someone goes into that state of illness, it shows you how precious life can be, and you want to take advantage of that time where like it's dwindling down and you want to make every moment worth it.
Well, I know when my dad was sick with Alzheimer's, I wish I was able to have that response. I was, like we said before, we were talking about fight or flight. I was 100% flight. I wanted nothing to do with the situation. I didn't want to be around the illness because I was scared. I didn't want to have to face the fact that my dad was going through this really serious thing. And the more time I spent away from him, the more angry I got. And I got angry at him. And that sounds really dumb, but I was like, how dare you get sick? Like, why would you do that to me? Like, I took it personally. And, you know, thankfully, in the end, when the illness did get really bad, I was able to face it and I was able to talk to him. But by then, my dad, most of his mind had deteriorated and he was having a hard time talking. And I missed out on a lot of times that I could have had with him. And it's probably one of my biggest regrets.
I was the opposite of you. When I found out that my grandpop was sick, I started spending a lot more time with him, and I realized that he could pass away at any time, so I thought that I should spend time with him and be with him.
My relationship with my dad actually got incredibly strong because even though he was sick and couldn't really get the words out as well as he used to, it was still easier for me to communicate with him. And in the end, when he was really sick, I actually got really scared and I couldn't handle it almost.
As Christians, there's an opportunity for us to find hope, even in a time of great trial.
It is, however, hope that gives us the courage to place ourselves on the side of good.
In other words, it's the hope of our faith that can give us the strength to walk with people when they're sick.
This virtue of hope flows through our love for the people in our lives and is part of our faith life.
We can have hope that the people who are suffering from sickness will find comfort or sense of community or even healing.
We can bring hope to them by reaching out in love.
And we can help their suffering by joining together to raise awareness and to make a difference.
Let's go back to our spotlight guest, Caitlin, where she describes how she responded when she heard the news of her father's tragic condition.
And how the love and support of the people around her gave her hope during such a difficult time.
When I first found out that he was ill, I was very upset. I cried a lot. I wanted to run away from his illness. I used school as kind of an escape. I didn't really bring any of my problems there. My family was all really supportive. My mom supported me a lot. She was always there, and we always did prayers together, and she'd always talk to my brother and me. Every night we started doing this. Once my dad got sick, we'd all join on my mom's bed upstairs, and we'd sit in a circle and we'd say a prayer, and then we'd talk about what had happened that day and how we felt about it, and it helped me come close with them and comfortable about the situation, and it helped me get through it. I also saw a psychologist for a while, and she helped me discuss our problems and stuff. It wasn't difficult to ask others for support. My friends all helped me a lot. I didn't really tell them much, but they knew about the problem, and they were always really nice to me about it and would always help if I needed it. If I was having a hard time with stuff at home, I'd tell my friends about it, and everybody would always give me a lot of hugs, even though they didn't really know what to say, and it made me feel a lot better.
We are all called to love those who are seriously ill.
In fact, visiting the sick is a corporal work of mercy.
Jesus told us that when we visit the sick, we are visiting him.
God became human in Jesus Christ and knows what it is to suffer.
When we reach out to the sick of the body of Christ, we are connecting with him.
Next, Caitlin shares how she was able to help out a friend struggling with a loved one who was seriously ill.
And how joining causes and fundraisers has given her a new outlook in helping to battle disease.
I can help others because I know what it's like. You don't always want to hear that it's going to be all right, but how you could deal with it. In the past year, my friend had a dad who also was very sick with cancer, and unfortunately, his father passed away. But during the whole time that he was sick, I'd always help him and give him advice. It was really hard because his outcome wasn't as good, but I was able to comfort him. I have joined a cause to help fight the disease. We joined the Light the Night Cancer, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We participated in a lot of fundraisers, and we also did a Light the Night walk where we walked to help raise money for the cure.
I actually went on the walk with Caitlin, the Light the Night, and being one of her friends, I did help her a lot, and even though I couldn't feel the pain she was feeling, I tried to relate as much as I could.
This year I was on the executive board of the National Honor Society, and me and my friends, these 4 other girls, we planned this fundraiser for the MS Society. It's multiple sclerosis. We planned this huge scavenger hunt throughout our school. People got really into it. They made their teams and they got all dressed up and they sprayed their hair or whatever, and we gave out movie passes as the prize. It really inspired me to keep doing things like that, because if you give people an opportunity to help, they will.
We do at our school, Run for Robo, and it's for the track coach who died of cancer. And as part of the cross-country team, it's mandatory, but a lot of the people from the school do it, and it raises awareness about cancer, and it raises money for the foundation, and some of it goes to the track as well.
This past year at my school, there were two relatives of the teachers there, babies, and they were both diagnosed with serious illnesses. So they sponsored a dress down day, and the cost was $5 was mandatory, and then you could donate any extra money you wanted to. And a lot of kids were putting $20 in, and we ended up raising $5,000, $6,000. It was really astounding.
I enjoy helping people, helping out organizations. And my latest one I did was a March of Dimes this past spring, and we walked 5K around Mercer County Park, and it helped raise money for the premature children.
Yeah, I'm not athletic at all, so doing a 5 or 10K run is a little beyond me. But the way I try to help out is in my high school, I was the vice president of my improv club, and we did 2 shows a year, and we would charge admission. But instead of using that for the club, because we didn't really have any expenses, we always donated it to fund research for cancer, to Ronald McDonald House, places that are looking for cures or are helping people who have serious diseases and who need a little bit of financial support.
At my school, we host an annual competition called Pennies for Patients, and it raises not only awareness, but a lot of money for children with cancers of the blood, which is a long list of diseases as well. And sometimes charities and activities like that can help you when you know someone who's ill and you feel like you can't do anything personally for them, you know that you can help through doing charities and organizational things like this.
During someone's illness, we can feel removed from God.
This is actually a really good time to spend in prayer.
Pray for your friend or relative so that they might receive comfort in their illness.
Pray for the grace to be strong for them.
You might feel like it's really hard to hear God, or you might be angry with God.
But keep reaching out in faith, because it's only in our faith that we find hope.
Next, we ask the teens on the street what advice they would give someone whose loved one is seriously ill.
And if they relied on prayer to get through the tough time.
What advice do you have for someone whose loved one is seriously ill?
Always be there for them, be close.
I would just try to help them the best I can.
Stay as supportive as you can.
Stay strong. Take care of them with all your heart, I guess.
Help them out, because backing off is probably the worst mistake you can make, and you're going to regret it.
No matter what happens, just stick by their side, and if they need you, then be there, and if they want you to back off, still be there without them knowing.
Let the person rest, and don't worry about her leaving or him, because they're going to be in a better place.
To just keep praying, that's all you can do.
To pray a lot and that rely everything on God.
Pray about it, because God will always come through and He will be there when you need Him the most.
Did you rely on prayer to help you through that tough time?
Actually, yeah, a little bit.
Nah.
Not really.
Not at all.
During that time, I lost a lot of faith. I thought, hey, how could He do this to me? What did I do to deserve this? And if He's out there, maybe He's not watching me, so what's the point of praying?
Just doing it every night, got used to it. It just made us all feel better, but still upset at the same time.
I prayed every day, hoping she'd be okay.
I tried, to pray as much as I could for her.
I did pray for her as much as I could. I definitely pray for her every single time that I think about it.
I know I said earlier, I avoided my dad's situation when he was sick, and I feel like I was able to remain just a little bit involved through prayer, because I didn't have to face him, I didn't have to see his sickness, but I still was able to, say those prayers and try and help him be stronger in his time of suffering. So how about you guys? When have you used prayer to help a loved one struggling with an illness?
Well, for me, my dad's illness came at a time when I wasn't really questioning my faith, but I was kind of moving away from it a little bit. And then my father was diagnosed with cancer, and he's a very religious person. He goes to Mass every day, and he prays all the time. And so through prayer and through going to Mass with him, he and I were able to get closer, and I felt like I was taking an active part in his life, praying for him and being there with him. And it was kind of like the way our bond grew through the whole ordeal.
I didn't start off immediately through prayer when our dad was sick, Jess, but because I was really angry. I was almost furious. And then I looked at it differently. And instead of, how could you do this to me? I kind of was almost thanked him, because through our dad's sickness, it made my bond with him a lot stronger.
Yeah, when my friend was diagnosed with cancer, it was kind of questionable. I was questioning my faith with God. Why would you want to do this to a 10-year-old girl?
And I think it's really hard, because that's a really big misconception that God makes people sick. God doesn't make people sick. Things happen, And I think that's why a lot of people end up getting angry with God and they don't turn to Him in prayer. He's going to help us, and He's going to help the person who's struggling.
I always like to think of God as my refuge and my stronghold. If I'm wandering away from the faith, and especially in times when you're dealing with suffering, that you think why is this happening? Why can't He do something about it? Once you turn back and just give a little of yourself to Him, He just comes running at you and embraces you.
Yeah, when me and my family found out that my grandpa had cancer, we were wondering why would this happen to him, because he was he's such a good man, and he always is making jokes and stuff. We started praying more and coming closer as a family.
It's great to make opportunities out of it, because with my grandfather right now, I'll start doing devotions for him, doing novenas or praying the rosary. It really helps you to grow closer to them.
Praying for someone, and even with someone who is ill, allows us to share the burden they are carrying and be able to help them.
It is in showing the compassion that we offer consolation.
Pope Benedict explains that we need one another in this personal connection to find hope in suffering.
He writes, "Because it has now become a shared suffering, though in which another person is present, this suffering is penetrated by the light of love."
Let's go back to our spotlight guest, Caitlin, as she discusses her father's faith journey during and after his illness.
And how she feels her prayers were answered and her relationship with God was renewed.
My dad's faith became a lot closer to God after he went through that. He prays all the time, and when we go to church, he feels really close to God, so much that sometimes he even cries. Before he got sick, we didn't used to go to church a lot, but we would always go to CCD, but after he got sick, we became so closer to God, and we go to church every Sunday now. My prayers always helps give me a sense of confidence that something good would come out of it. Sometimes it was difficult for me to pray when I was really upset, and I felt like I was asking for a lot. I remember one time, it was the first day we found out my dad got sick. Everybody was really upset, and the doctors thought he was about to die. A priest in the hospital came and prayed with us. We all stand in a circle and held hands and said a prayer, but it was really hard for me to believe that the prayer would come true because he was in such bad condition. So it was really hard for me to be able to pray and turn to God in the beginning. But as it went on and the prayers were answered, I started to believe in miracles because it was a miracle that they were able to cure him in his condition. Every time that we said a prayer, we would always start with the Our Father. That was really the only special prayer we said. So I still use that today because it makes me feel most comfortable when I pray. It's brought me closer to God. He helped me with my hard time, and it made me believe in him a lot more and made my faith a lot stronger.
Yeah, like what Caitlin was saying, how the illness made her father closer to God. The same thing happened with my grandfather. Like whenever we'd go over his house, he'd be praying all the time, and my grandmother would be praying with him, and we'd all join in, and I'd make it a point, if I went to church or something, that would be the prayer that I would say. I would say a special prayer just for my pop-up, and then that was and I think that's what helped me, not suffer as much through his sickness, because I knew I was praying and God would help him out.
I know my brother was saying before when he found out that our dad was sick, he got angry, and I mean, we're kind of opposites because I'm angry now, and I don't know if I'm angry at God or just angry in general, but it hurts. It's a painful thing, and I don't know if my relationship with God is stronger, but it's definitely different.
I think like Caitlin said that before her dad got sick, she didn't really go to church a lot. I think that dealing with an illness like that can really change a person and a family.
My form of prayer is talking as if God was actually there next to me, talking as if it was an individual. And I used to get angry as well when it was just those brief moments of silence when I didn't hear a physical answer. But as I grew and as I continued to pray and continued to develop my spiritual relationship with him, I realized that it was those brief moments of silence that allowed me to reflect and find the answer within myself.
Lastly, we asked the teens on the street if their faith helped in dealing with a loved one who was ill.
And if they were able to get closer to God during this experience.
Not really.
Not as much, because even if there is faith, the fact is he's still ill the way he is.
It gave me something to rely on.
It just helped me understand people and that's life, and you just gotta move on.
I'm still in the situation, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get over it, whether God helps me or whether he doesn't.
Did you grow closer to God during that time, or did you pull away from God?
I'm probably closer because he's been doing slightly better.
I guess during that time I was closer, and then afterwards it was kind of back to where I was.
I pulled away from God, thinking that it was his fault for taking her. Pulled away. I believed in him less. I came closer to him.
So I kind of grew closer to him because I just started understanding what he's saying more.
I did go closer to him in a way because I did pray every night.
I started going to church more and getting more closer to him, and I started understanding that he didn't take her. It was time for her to go.
When dealing with suffering and our relationship with Christ, we look at Christ and how he had to suffer on the cross for us. And when we take our suffering and match it up with his, it really, really deepens our relationship with him and enables us to connect with him on such a deeper level.
I know that relationships change every day, and I know that personally my relationship with God will change, but having that point of connection, like you said, it allows me to grow deeper in my faith, knowing who I am, knowing the history of Jesus and God walking alongside of me.
My faith has grown stronger with God through my mom. My mom's a nurse, and she deals with sick and dying patients all the time. And for the most part, she's the last person they see, and she's there with them until they die. My mom comes back and she tells me these stories, and through the stories that she tells me, it makes me realize how precious life is, and my prayers have changed, and with all that, I've gotten closer to God.
In my experience with my dad's sickness, my friends really supported me, and that really helped me a lot. It helped me come to terms with a lot of things.
When my dad was diagnosed with cancer, I wasn't sure how my friends would react, like if they would be there to support me or if they'd kind of just like shrug it off. So I never really said anything to them. You know, I would go to school and I'd just act like nothing was wrong. I kept everything to myself, and it was rough. Like looking back on it, I wish that I had gone to them and asked for their support, because looking back on it, I feel like they would have been there for me.
Yeah, being a friend of Caitlin's, like she said before, like even with me just giving a hug, because I wouldn't always know what to say.
And sometimes you don't necessarily need someone to talk to you, but someone just to listen to you, because just getting all of it out and off your chest, it's a better feeling.
It can be hard for our own spirit, heart, and mind to deal with suffering when someone we love is ill.
If you find yourself overwhelmed by anger, fear, or doubt, find someone you trust to talk to.
We are part of one body in Christ, and we are joined in deep and meaningful ways in the family of humanity.
Take care of yourself so you can be a better support and a friend to the person who is in need.
Have you grown closer to God in helping a loved one who is ill?
We'd love to hear your story. Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And we'll leave you today with this passage from Psalm 103.
Bless the Lord, my soul. Do not forget all the gifts of God.
Who pardons all your sins, heals all your ills,
Delivers your life from the pit, surrounds you with love and compassion.
fills your days with good things. Your youth is renewed like the eagles.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.